You're welcome to Healthitude, a health enlightenment program on ABS television here in Oka, Anambra State. Recently, the world marked World Cancer Day. Of course, the program is Healthitude, reaching you live from the studios of Yanambra Broadcasting Service. Cancer has actually become a global burden, and on the 4th of February every year, the world unites to raise awareness on fundamental cancer issues. And we at the ABS connect with the public in spearheading this annual awareness day and beyond. My name is Nonye Mokoye, welcoming you to Healthitude. And in the studio, I've been joined by a medical practitioner, a consultant general surgeon, and surgical oncologist, Nnamdi Azikiwe University Teaching Hospital, Newi. He is Dr. Eric Ihekwaba. Good to have you in the studio, Doc.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Now, having known that cancer is a global burden, it's actually one of the leading cause of deaths globally. What do you have to tell us about this issue of being a global burden?
Yeah, thank you. The life we live today, if allowed to live as we're created, the minimum we should attain is 70 years. But because of the interferences which we encounter in the environment where we're living, the life expectancy of every man in this part of the world and the world over is reducing. One of the factors that affects how long you live, which is called lifetime or lifespan, is the presence or absence of diseases. And one of them is cancer. The cancer we're talking about is generally seen as new growth, which has a harmful effect on the host, on the individual. As we are talking about cancer, we believe that if there's no cancer and there's no disease, everybody should live to his normal age without any problem. So cancer today is a very big health burden to us, especially in this part of the world, where treatment is out-of-pocket expenditure. That is, people pay for their treatment. And because of this, cancer conditions are more demanding, both financially and otherwise. And as most people here are so poor, they can't afford to take care of themselves, I find out that when you have this additional burden of having to take care of someone who has cancer, that there's a great burden to the person, to the family, and to the community at large. I would say that cancer, as its name goes, is just something that has no limitation. If it keeps on going. Initially, it was taken to be like a crab, where you have a major body and then the limbs are spread everywhere. Cancer is like that. And maybe when we get to that point, look at what is cancer and what is it.
Now, the situation or the cancer situation, according to reports in Africa, is really disheartening. And the report shows that in the year 2020, approximately 1.1 million new cases of cancer occurred on the continent, with around 700,000 deaths. And if nothing is done urgently about this, the cancer mortality in the region is projected to reach about 1 million deaths per year by 2030. And also in 20 years, cancer death rate in Africa will overtake the global average of 30%. Now, doctor, as a medical practitioner, you know what actually this means. And I would want you to tell our people what exactly is this cancer, and of course, what causes cancer.
Yeah, thank you. The cancer, the recorded or the noted cancer deaths and statistics are really underreported. Most people are dying and suffering this without actually getting recorded. These are the numbers that pass through the hospitals. There are so many of them in the villages because of what we call disease denial. Somebody has a pathology, you tell him that this is a pathology, this is a problem. Say, no, not my portion. And such person will not actually approach anywhere where you're going to be treated. So what we're interested in is that, yes, this disease exists, but what are we going to do to make it freer for us? Cancer, as we know, is a type of health condition where a normal cell has actually changed from its normalcy and become abnormal. And when it is normal, it responds to all the control mechanisms of the body. But when it becomes abnormal, that means that those normal control mechanisms cannot control it. It's just like what you have in society when you have miscreants. You don't observe the orders of the state. So here, the cells become autonomous, became a virgin, and outgrow their host. Quite unlike what you find in pregnancy. When a woman is pregnant, as the woman is growing, the baby is growing, or as the baby is growing, the woman is growing. But in case of cancer, a patient bearing cancer tends to go down while the cancer is growing. That is to say that the cancer has a means of depressing the immunity and the health status of the patient while it's on its own is also overgrowing. So back to the question, what are we going to do to ameliorate the burden of cancer in the environment?
No, we've not really gotten to that. I said you should tell us what cancer is and, of course, what causes it.
Okay, if I go back again, I say cancer is when a normal cell, normal body becomes abnormal or changes from what is normalcy. And that's why I said, in the normal cell, if it's growing, if you get to a point, the body said, don't grow again, they will stop there. But abnormal cell is that the cell continues to grow when you say don't grow. And that was where I gave instances of miscreants. If you have all these hoodlums in the community, you say don't jump the fence, that's where they're going to go. They don't even observe any order. The cancer is like that. Cancer are abnormal cells, which I said that when you compare them with normal cells in a human being, for a woman who is pregnant, as the baby is growing, the woman is growing. But quite unlike the case of cancer, cancer is, in this own case, as the woman is growing, the cancer tends to reduce the life of the patient. And when you now have that kind of thing, the patients tend to go down while the cancer cell is overgrowing. So in terms of definition, it is malignant transformation of the normal cells to abnormalcy. And these cells will also lose the normal body mechanism of control. In a normal body, if you have a wound, that's an example, the wound will keep on growing to heal. Once they touch each other, they will stop. That is called contact inhibition. But in case of cancer, that ability to stop growing when they touch their neighboring cells is lost. And the cells keep on overgrowing. And that's why if you see them, you can see a small child carrying a very big mass, notwithstanding his age. But in the normal body, there's no part of their body that should be bigger than the proportion of that part of the body.
All right.
So in terms of definition, it is defined as abnormal growth in the body, arising from the body.
All right, we take a short break here. The program is Healitude. We are talking cancer, a global body. That's the topic of our discussion this morning. Today with Dr. Eric Ihekwaba. When we return, we're going to look at the causes of this cancer because there is this saying in Igbo parlance that a toad does not run in the day for nothing. We'll be right back shortly. Welcome back to the program Healitude on ABS Television. We are looking at cancer, a global burden, with Dr. Eric Ihekwaba. He's a consultant general surgeon and surgical oncologist from Nnamdi Azikiwe University Teaching Hospital, Newi. Now, doctor, we've like I said, that this Igbo balance, nothing just happened. What are the causes of cancer?
The causes of cancer are numerous, but let us see how far we can go. One, from creation, there are some part of the body that's supposed to develop in one form or the other. Along the line, if those cells fail to develop or fail to distinguish themselves from the others at that initial stage, they may end up being cancerous. These ones are commonly found in children, what we call the childhood tumors. That usually they may be cancerous, and those ones have some problems. Then you have another one, which you say by inheritance. In our body is created that we have just as we have in the society, surveillance system that tends to make sure that every cell in the body is to what it's supposed to be, that's to its constitution. And any bad cells in the body is normally removed by this, what we call the surveillance system. In the body, you have them as humoral or cellular. In the system, that's in a society, you have them as police people. The body has its own police mechanism, in which case, if it sees any bad cell, it removes it. So in that gene, where you have effect or control of this gene, if it becomes a problem, that it cannot control this policing of the body, what it means that some bad cells cannot grow to the level of become cancerous, and they will overgrow the system. Our body have this propensity of generating bad cells every day. And the body also has the ability to remove these bad cells every day. That's why we're living without cancers. But when the body fails to actually take care of this surveillance system, those bad cells can overgrow the supply and the control of the body, and then become cancerous. So these are seen as what we call the inheritance from a type of gene which we call the P53 gene, and this is the area where you have the control system. Then apart from this, we have mutations. Mutations here appear when you have a normal cell that is doing a normal thing. It's being challenged, and when you have this being challenged, it may change its ability to do what is normal and start doing abnormal thing. This is also like what you have in our society today. When you see a good child intermingling with some bad society, they may be forced to become bad. The same thing happens in our body. But just as I said before, when you have this mutation coming up, this body sensory system tends to remove it, so that normal ones will remain. But when you don't remove it, it becomes a problem. Then we now ask ourselves, what is actually the cause of this? The commonest cause of this is just the environment where we live. And this could come from what we eat, the radiations we're getting from, because anywhere you have a lot of radiations, then bacteria, viruses, and these are the common challenges that give the body these challenges that create problem. So when you have like our environment, what we're eating, some of the things we are eating today are quite toxic to the body, and as such, they are creating a lot of problem for the cells. A normal cell that's supposed to have a normal nutriment from the body to grow, you will not supply it abnormal nutriment. Of course, it will change the constitution of that cell, and at times it may develop the cancerous status. Occasionally, you find out that constant irritation of a normal body, part of the body, can also create cancer. For example, those that have chronic wounds, have ulcers in their body that are not actually well treated, over time, those areas become cancerous. These are type of things you find in plastic surgery and orthopedic surgery. But apart from this, you also find out that the radiation, the heat we are getting, initially the world is created to have a cover that protects us from the infrared, that's a very high damaging radiation from the sun, which we call the ultraviolet rays and infrared. So this type of radiation that comes from the sun is protected by the ozone layer. But due to what we are doing in our environment today, because of industrialization and activities in industrial estates, this ozone layer is being depleted. This ozone layer, which serves as an umbrella protecting us from the direct radiation from the sun, is being depleted, and as such, we are having direct scorch from the sun, and this is also damaging some of the tissues. And when these tissues have been heated up to a level they cannot control, they may have abnormal degeneration, and they can also have abnormal development. And this abnormal development may lead to what we call metaplasia. Metaplasia means changing from one cell form to another. And then when you have this change, and the changes to that cancerous type, of course, it goes along the line of cancer. But be it as it may, we can actually, when we look at what is called, we can actually classify them as those ones you can control and the ones you cannot control.
Okay, now I would want you to bring this in, because before now, Africa is not known as people that suffer cancer. We associate cancer before to the whites, but these days, does it mean there are things we are doing now which we were not doing then? Just like you talked about environment, where did we miss it that the burden is now greater on Africa, that ab initio are not
what it was before
associated with cancer? So where did we miss it? What has gone wrong in our society?
Really, just as we used to say, the world is a global village now. So what is available in any part of the world is available in Nigeria. If you look at what we eat, there's not much difference, apart from resources that limits us from picking one thing or the other. But anything you find over there, you can find it down here. And as such, some of these, just as I said before, some of these cancer cells are related to what we eat, what we do. We're doing almost the same thing as what they're doing over there. The only thing that's different is just the rate and the frequency.
So in other words, you can call it cultural imperialism.
Yeah, we have, not cultural imperialism now, but cultural diffusion.
Okay, diffusion.
So things have diffused to the extent that, like formerly, if you don't even not, I used to remember those days when you see most families having fried foods or, you know, rice on Sundays. Now people fry a lot of things every day in their homes, which is a white man or a Western table culture. While over here we are mostly taking the the natural supply, that's the vegetative materials. You know, the white man used to tell them, it came down and said we're animals, we're eating vegetables. And they took away our vegetables and called it, changed the name to salads. And now we start buying them again. And for them, they've discovered that all these industrialized products are causing more problems to us. And they've gone back to the natural supply. While for us here, we're going to what they're living. That's industrialized products, all these factory products. They're full of toxins. A lot of things they use in preserving them are injurious to the body. So that is actually what is causing this breach. And before, we don't have what we call medical reportage. Somebody has a problem, you get a report that this is the problem the person has, and when you trace it, you now find the problem. Then there was nothing like that. All deaths in Africa then used to be due to, you know, either cause or due to evil spirits. Okay. But now we now know that it is due to something else.
Okay, when they are subjected to you know, tests and whatnot. All right, the program is still Healitude on ABS television. We are talking about cancer being a global burden with Dr. Eric Ihekwaba in the studio. We take another short break here. We'll return after now. Welcome back to the studios, and we are talking about cancer being a global burden with Dr. Eric Ihekwaba. Now, Doctor, another report had it that between 2022 and 2024, you know, the focus of World Cancer Day is to help close the cancer gap. Now, this year marks the third and final year of the campaign, and of course, the theme for this year says. Together, we challenge those in power. This encompasses the global demand for our leaders, wherever they are, to prioritize and invest in cancer prevention and care, and to do more to achieve a just and cancer-free world. Now, when we talk about, you know, I think at this point to begin to talk about what the government can actually do to help in reducing this burden, just like we talked about earlier. So.
Yeah, the cancer burden is a very big burden to the medical community. And we believe that we cannot keep on calling on cancer without doing something. And this thing we can do could be done in various ways. Yes, there's those ones that are on individual basis, that are the ones on the community basis. Just maybe, if I may go to the question asked, the survival rate of cancer depends on time of presentation. For those detected by screening, they have up to 95% survival. When we talk about 5-year, 10-year, and 15-year survival. So for most of them that detected by screening, they have more than 95% survival for first 5 years, and some of them have up to 80% survival for 10 years. Then for those ones you now discover when they have gone beyond that, we now talk about the staging, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. For stage 1, stage 2 tumors, which you now discover, most of them have up to 85% survival rate. That's 5 years survival rate when they are treated. Then when you now move towards the last, maybe someone who is stage 3, stage 4 disease, the highest stage you have in cancer stage is 4. So when you now have to that stage 3, stage 4, at stage 3, the survival rate, 5 years survival rate is less than 20%, and for stage 4, it's less than 10%. So you can see how it is. Jumping down from 1995 to that of 10%. And for some of them, you can do nothing when they have gone beyond what you can do. And at that point, when you talk about treatment, we talk about palliation. That is trying to make person have a little good life while carrying his burden. Thank you.
Okay. All right, the program is Healthitude on ABS television, and we are talking about cancer as a global burden with Dr. Eric Ihekwaba. My name is Nonya Mokoye. Let's take another short break. When we return, we begin to wrap up the show. You're welcome back to the program Healthitude, looking at cancer as a global burden. Now, doctor, we've really talked a lot. You talk about chances of survival when cancer is detected early in an individual. Now, I would want you to really speak to our people when it comes to lifestyle, which could affect them and, of course, cause cancer in them. Let's speak to us as individuals right now as we wrap up the show.
Yeah, thank you. The slogan again, prevention is better than cure. So we can modify this cancer burden in our bodies. Just as I said before, there are some ones you can avoid, and there's one that cannot avoid. For the avoidable ones, which are really due to our life, the way we live our life, that's our behavioral patterns, those things can be prevented, like smoking, alcoholic beverages, then eating rotten foods, because of things are very bad now. People eat a lot of things. In fact, in Japan, it was seen that most of them develop cancer of the stomach because of the way they preserve their food. And when they modify the way they preserve their foods, cancer of the stomach reduces drastically. Over here, poverty and difficult times have made people to eat things that are rotten, and along the line, this can affect us. So we should avoid eating rotten meat, rotten fish, rotten food. Those things should not be taken. Granules that has molds, we should not take those things.
That
even
has molds. Okay,
yeah.
I think it's equally important to let hospitals know that think of ways they could, bring down the prices of the cost of people coming for that. People that are already down with cancer.
Really, we are advocates for government intervention for cancer bearing individuals, because the cost of treating cancer is quite enormous. It is not something one person should bear, but we are saying that government should come in, and that's what we're talking about. This is our national health scheme. In the national health scheme, most of the cancer treatments were not covered. We are still encouraging government and discussing government to include all these cancers as part of those things that should be compulsorily be involved in the national health insurance scheme, so that someone that has cancer it's not helping me to treat malaria, which I can afford to treat. I will need the assistance if I have cancer. Those who cannot treat. The drugs for cancer treatment are very costly. They are usually, formerly we used to use chemicals. Now we're going into what we call engineered products, what we call the biological products. They are not ordinary chemicals. They cannot stay long, and they're quite costly. So many people cannot afford it. So if government may come in terms of making cancer treatment free, and then the way to do individual in the community can also help us to offset the cost of treatment, I think people will do well.
All right, at this point, we'd like to thank you so much, Dr. Eric Ihekwaba. Dr. Ihekwaba is the consultant general surgeon and surgical oncologist from Nnamdi Azikiwe University Teaching Hospital, Nnewi. And you may be wondering why we talk about government. This year's theme says, together we hold those in power. Let's challenge those in power to come in and help to bear the burden of cancer. This is where we wrap up the show for today. My name is Nonya Mokoye. Thank you so much, and let's just put our hands together to see that this menace is, chased away from our society. It's a bye from here.